War. War never changes. A long time ago, in the magical land of Equestria, there was a great war between the ponies and the zebras that ravaged and destroyed the world, leaving nothing but death and ruins of a once magnificent land. A while before the megaspells were detonated, Stable-Tech was founded and built underground stables for ponies to take refuge from the destruction. Then word of megaspell detonations in Equestria spread. Ponies went to the stables and sealed the doors. Damn it all and my stupid curiosity. When I look back now, I will always wonder what I could have done differently. Could I have changed what happened? Would it have changed who I am now? Would I want to? I'm still not sure. Some days I wish I'd never left my home, stayed the boring mare I was. Other days I look back at the old me and hate her. So would I go back? I doubt it. But having the choice would be nice. Then I would know. Sadly, I can't go back. I can't change what I've done or who I became. I can't change where I ended up or the things that I know. The first things I remember aren't memories of being a filly and playing with friends. Not a birthday with friends or family or playing with siblings. No. Mine is 2 days after my mother and I came to Stable 28. Anything before that is blank. Almost like I was born a young filly. I remember waking up in a clinic, 2 mares and a stallion looking at me. The stallion was a doctor, and he was the first pony ever remembered speaking to me. "Well, would you look at that? She's finally coming to," he said with a smile on his face. "Thank the goddesses," the mare said on my right. I remember thinking she was so familiar, yet I couldn't recall the time who she was. I loved her beautiful icy blue coat, her short-cut gray mane, and her dark gray eyes. She was my mother, I'd later find out. That was it. My first memory. The sight of a doctor, a mare I didn't know, yet felt I did, and another mare. Oh yeah, and I was scared to death. I didn't know anything about myself, who I was, where I came from. Nothing. It was also a dream I'd have at least once a week, if not more. For some reason, that first memory was important. I'm not sure why, but it was. It had to be if I kept dreaming about it. "Wake up, Shadow," a voice said next to my ear. I rolled over and pulled the covers over my head. "Leave me alone. I want to sleep," I mumbled into my pillow. "You can sleep later. Plus, you already slept away the morning. We have to be in the atrium in 5 minutes," she said, of the only real friend that I had in this stuffy stable. Her name was Strawberry Milkshake. She's a cute mare with a cream-colored coat and pink mane. And yes, a strawberry milkshake for a cutie mark. "Why?" I yelled, poking one of my ruby-red eyes out from under the blanket. "Oh, stop being so melodramatic and get up," she said, pulling the blankets off me. "The atrium's so boring. I don't want to get up. It's not like I have anything to do today," I said. "We have to see Auntie about tomorrow's ceremony, and you know we're getting our PipBucks. Not to mention we'll be assigned our full-time jobs in the stable." I looked up at her and sighed. "Well, that's an easy one for you. Every pony knows you'll end up in the kitchen doing what you love." "And you'll end up getting an awesome job too. I just know it," she said, poking my nose with a hoof. "What am I going to do for the stable? No one understands my cutie mark. Even I don't really get it, and it's my special talent. Also, what good am I here as a unicorn? The stable is made to run off the talents of earth ponies." She laughed at that. "I'm sure magic could always be helpful in anything." I couldn't help but smile at that, looking back at her. Fine, I'll go with you. But I'm telling you, they're going to say I'm only good for cleaning or something stupid like that. She turned around, looking back at me, and winked. Hey, some pony's gotta keep this place looking nice. And with that, she walked out the door. You could at least shut the door! I yelled as her tail vanished down the hall. Well, fuck. Now I have to get up. I walked over to the old mirror and looked myself over. Not that I'm going to lie, I'm not a tall mare. I'm just a little taller than your average filly. Most days it didn't bother me, though. It kept me from getting noticed most of the time. The rest of me, however, did. My coat is a grayish black, my mane is shiny silver, and my eyes are a ruby red. Oh yeah, and I'm the only unicorn in the stable. When the stable was first occupied, it was set up with a stable for earth ponies only. After the war ended in a fiery death for the ponies on the surface, this stable started to deploy new ways of living in a world that was destroyed by magical radiation. From what our history said, the stable would only be opened when the ponies of Stable 28 found a way to make this work. And in 200 years, no pony has been able to do that. The stable, however, came up with a lot other amazing things. One of which was the ability to grow many different plants in the lower levels of the stable. This meant we were able to have a nice kitchen and dining hall. The ponies in Stable 28 lived an easy life for the most part. I yawned and looked myself over once more, using my magic to fix my mane, pulling it into a loose braid that went over my shoulder. I took in a look at my cutie mark, an 8-pointed purple and black star with a 2 crossed gold skeleton key inside of it. Hurry up, Shadow Star! I really don't feel like getting in trouble because of your lazy butt, came Milkshake's voice from my door. I almost jumped out of my skin. Damn it! Are you trying to give me a heart attack? If it gives me a reason for being late, then maybe. Now come on, she said, walking away. So I followed. Hell, I couldn't help myself. I was awake now, and I could never say no to her. Yeah, I'm coming. The atrium was the largest area in the stable, only a short walk away from the large gear-shaped stable door. We made our way down to the second level, where a long table was set up. 2 young stallions sat on one end, and on the other was an older mare. She was tall, with a yellow coat, a gray mane, dark purple eyes, and a cutie mark of some kind of purple flower I didn't recognize. Late as ever, I see, Shadow Star, she said as we made our way to sit next to the 2 younger stallions. And good afternoon to you too, Strawberry Milkshake. I take it you're the reason she was able to make it here at all. You know, Shadow, the stable could be on fire and she'd sleep through it, Milkshake said with a giggle. That's because unicorns are too lazy to do any real work. Isn't that right, little dark princess? Said one of the stallions. Ah, shut your hole, Tumble, I said back, glaring at him. That's enough, you two. We aren't here for immature name-calling, Auntie said. She was the other mare who'd been in the room when I'd first woken up 10 years ago. She was my mother's best friend in the stable before she vanished 8 years ago. Or left. Depends on what story you choose to believe. No one ever called her by anything, but Auntie either was her real name or what she chose to be called. Sorry, Auntie, the 2 of us said. She only shook her head and said, Never mind that. Now, you do all understand why you're here today? Duh. We get our PipBucks and new assignments for our jobs today, said the other stallion. Close. Today I'll be telling you where you'll be reporting to for your job in Stable 28. Your trainer will be the one to issue you a PipBuck. That will be tomorrow in front of the rest of the population at the ceremony. Today I'll be going over who you'll be meeting with and your future job, she said, putting a hoof down on a small stack of folders that were laid out in front of her. Tumbleweed, yours will be easy. You'll be reporting to your father in sanitation. She pushed the folder towards him. Give this to him when you get there.
What? Why sanitation? Can't the unicorn do that? I wanted to help out in the kitchen, he said with a moan.
I've tasted your cooking before, and I would hate to have to do so again. So no, you get assigned toward the Overmare, and your test results say you belong. Now, be on your way, she said. He did. Then Auntie sent the other stallion to his job helping in the clinic with Doc. She looked over at Milkshake. Now, Strawberry Milkshake, I'm sure you know where you're going. Cream Puff said she can't wait to work with you in the kitchen. This is so great. I was hoping to get that job. Mother said she figured that'd be that, or helping Doc. Your test results were promising in both fields, but the Overmare wanted you to be where you'd be happier, and Cream Puff is getting close to retirement. Tell her I said thank you very much. When you see her next, please. Milkshake said with a smile, taking the folder. Then she looked at me and smiled. I'll see you tonight, Shadow. Good luck. I watched her go. When she was gone, I looked back at Auntie and let my body slump, my head resting on the table. Let me guess. I'll be going to part of sanitation too, right? Why do you always look at the world with a glass half empty, dear? She said, the expression on her face softening some. Not like there's much I can do around here. Plus, it's not like my life's been full of good things. I think you're going a little overboard there, dear. From what I've seen, you've had a nice life so far. Starting tomorrow, you'll be all grown up. Oh yeah, the tiny mare missing the first few years of her life, her mother gone goddesses knows where, and the only unicorn who gets called names on a daily basis. I have so much to look forward to in my life, I said with a sigh, rolling my eyes. She knocked my horn with her hoof, saying, I didn't raise you like that, little Miss Gloom. What I see is a beautiful young mare who's going to find her way soon, meet a stallion one day, and have a family. Not to mention a gifted unicorn who can show up any pony in the stable if she puts her mind to it. Gifted unicorn? How would you know anything about magic or what a gifted unicorn looks like? Your mother was my best friend, and a gifted unicorn in her own way. I may not know magic the same way that you do or her, but she taught me a thing or two about it. I only know 3 spells, one of which is normal for any unicorn. And you taught yourself the other 2 just from reading a book you found in the library. From what I know, thanks to your mother, that's not an easy thing to do. One day you'll see that you are special, and you'll thank me for having so much faith in you, Auntie said with a smile. I couldn't help myself. I smiled back. I miss her, you know. I do too, sweetheart. Your mother was a special pony and had a kind heart. I still remember when she first forced her way in here with you on her back. I thought the stable was being taken over by some crazed ponies from the outside. I thought Mom talked her way into the stable begging for help, I said, lifting my head off the table, a look of confusion on my face. Well, when I say forced, I'm referring to the way she talked the Overmare into letting her in. She had a way with words. She could talk her way in or out of anything. Kind of like yourself, she said quickly, though her eyes wandered away, almost as if she was hiding something. And I just let it go. If Auntie didn't want to say something, she wouldn't. Well, apart from all that, what job did the Overmare give me then? I'd like to try and be on time meeting with my trainer. I don't want to be the only mare who doesn't get her PipBuck tomorrow. Well, Shadow, there's the problem that the Overmare can't seem to find a good job for you yet. Great! So I'm even more useless than I first thought. No, it's the other way around. There are so few jobs you could be put into here at the stable. The thing is that the Overmare doesn't want to put you in any of them. She still has trouble with letting an outsider run anything in the stable, even if she only knows life as a stable pony, Auntie said with a hint of anger in her voice. That's bullshit. Not that I mind getting to laze about all day or anything. I'd still like to have something to do. I'd get bored otherwise. I'm trying to talk with her to find one that you can do, but so far she hasn't made up her mind. And when will she know? I'm not sure yet. But I don't think I'll get an answer by tomorrow morning. Then you won't be getting your PipBuck tomorrow. For a full minute, all I could do was sit there, a stunned look on my face, my mouth slightly open in a state of shock. When I was finally able to get my brain to take control of my body again, I said, "That's bullshit too. Every pony gets a PipBuck when they're of age. For me, that was over 1 week ago. She can't say I can't have one when it's the right of every grown pony in this dump. The bylaws say PipBucks are only given to ponies born in the stable. She is saying that, as an outsider, she can deny you one until you are assigned a job, and maybe even after if she chooses. She is the Overmare, and her word is law around here. You know this," Auntie said in a firm tone. "Oh, I see. So because I was brought here as a filly, and even though I have no memory of who I was before the stable, I can't be trusted with anything. I'd say I'm surprised, but I'm not. The Overmare has always had it out for me, ever since my mom vanished." I got to my hooves, stomping once out of anger. "Calm down, Shadowstar, right now." "Why should I, huh? It's not fair." Her hoof came up and struck me on the horn. Hard, too. And she got right in my face. "Because I said so. Now listen to me for once. I'm going to talk with her, and she will give you a job and a PipBuck. I'll make sure of it. For now, you can stay calm and go on like it's just another normal day. Maybe go see Balefire and see if he can show you something cool in security. It was one of the jobs you were showing promise in." I was so stunned for a moment that I stood there and took it. Auntie only ever hit me like that when I was acting like a brat. When she was done talking, I just nodded my head and said, "Fine, but don't expect me back until late tonight." "Why not? Did I make you that mad that you have to stay out all night?" she asked me in a stern tone. "Yes and no," I said slowly. "Not really about you. I just need to be away for a while. Also, Milkshake wanted me to take me out to celebrate, and we may be out for a little while. I might not have much to celebrate yet, but she is my friend, and I'll be there for her." "Okay, then. I understand, dear. Just try not to wake me when you get back. I do like to be able to get a full night's rest for once," Auntie said, turning around. "Oh, and remember tomorrow to be here at 11 in the morning. Do not sleep in." "Even if I'm not getting anything?" I said back to her. "Don't worry. I'm sure I'll have everything fixed by then." With that, she left me standing next to the table in the atrium. At this time of day, it was rare to see many ponies around. Most were busy working on one of the 10 levels the stable had. The top 2 levels of the stable were mostly the atrium and were the family's private rooms, like the one I lived in with Auntie. When I was officially an adult mare, I'd be moved to the 3rd floor where they shared rooms for mares and stallions who hadn't had a foal yet. I'd more than likely be with Milkshake. She was my only mare friend and close to the same age as myself. The 4th level was security and medical. My other friend, Balefire, who was a year older than me, worked in security on that level. Level 5, 6, and 7 were dedicated to the research and development jobs in the stable. Level 8 was the main dining hall and kitchen. Level 9 was a much larger space where we grew different vegetables and fruits, thanks to talismans and a lot of hard work from the earth ponies. Most of the plants didn't look like they did in the books. They had a sick look to them, but they did taste good, and that's all that matters. Level 10, that was the scary one. It housed all the things needed to keep the stable running. There were a few talismans for water and power down there, and loads of other things that I knew nothing about. The place was dark, musty, and full of strange noises. I'd been a little scared of it ever since my mother vanished. Some ponies said she'd killed herself down there by throwing herself into the incinerator, or was thrown into it by some pony else. I was one of the few who thought she'd left the stable. Goddess knows why she would just up and leave like that, but that's what I chose to believe. I knew my mother, though. She was kind and caring, and I knew that she was most likely dead, but I couldn't ever tell myself that. Maybe it was a filly's dream, but that's all I had. Well, what do I do now? I asked aloud. There wasn't much to do in this place, when you had no work and your friends were off learning their own jobs. Guess I'll go see if Auntie needs help. I walked towards the stairs and went up to the second level of the atrium. I didn't get far, however. A large stallion walked right in front of me. "One moment, unicorn," he said, making sure to keep my path blocked. "Hey, Tender Whip, what is it this time?" I asked, rolling my eyes. "Overmare wants you in her office," he said, keeping his voice calm, but also making sure his eyes looked me over and not right down at me. "Why, I didn't do anything wrong today. I only woke up a half hour ago, and I'm sure I can't even get into trouble that quickly." Tender Whip was one of our security ponies. He took his job very seriously. We were supposed to respect security and take anything they said as if the Overmare herself ordered it. I, however, thought that was a load of horse apples. Plus, the stallion was an ass. "I wasn't told why. Just make sure you come up as soon as you are done with Auntie." "Little late then. Auntie left a few minutes ago. If you were to fetch me so quickly, then I think you're getting lazy." I smiled up at him as sweetly as possible. I saw a vein pulse in his neck, making my smile widen. His voice got a hint of anger to it when he spoke next. "I don't have time to play your silly games with fillies like yourself, let alone dirty unicorns. Now, come with me to see the Overmare, or I'll drag you there by your tail." "Ah, no first date? Right to the rough stuff, I see. I didn't take you for such a kinky stallion." And there it goes once again. I open my mouth. Stupid sarcasm escapes, and I get to pay the price for it. No, it's usually worth it. Tender Whip lost all control of his professional demeanor and got right in my face. "Fine. You want to play it that way? The Overmare never said how I had to get you to see her." "Oh shit," I thought to myself as his nightstick cracked me in the face, knocking me down hard. Yep, I finally pushed him over the edge. Oh well, at least I'd have a good story for later when I was talking with Milkshake. My head was swimming, and the left side felt like I'd just been hit with a rock, or a long metal stick. I felt my tail getting pulled up and the rest of my body lifting into the air. I would have yelled at the pain, however, my head hurt too much to say much of anything. I should be used to this by now. It isn't like this is the first time security has whacked at me, besides for my attitude. Just not this hard. After only a few moments, I was dropped on the floor. Hard. And I heard Tender Whip say, "Overmare, I found the unicorn you asked for." "What did you do to her?" came the voice of the Overmare. "She refused to come with me and was talking back, so I reminded her why you don't cross security," he said. "She's half your size, Tender Whip. You didn't need to hit her in the head. Is she even conscious?" she said, coming over towards me. "She's fine. She'll just have a wicked headache later." "Damn it, Tender Whip. I didn't want her hurt. She's still a child. You're lucky I don't have your badge taken for hitting a filly." I'm not a filly. I'm an adult as of last week," I said, looking up and trying to get to my hooves. "See? She's fine, Overmare. Now, can I get back to work?" he said, acting like he'd done nothing wrong. "No. I want you to report to the head security officer's silver badge. Tell him I've taken you off duty until I can have a word with him and decide a good punishment for your actions," she said in a hard tone. "But Overmare..." The Overmare stopped him with only 5 words. "Do I make myself clear?" "This isn't fair. She's just a filthy unicorn." She's also a stable citizen of 28. And we don't hurt our citizens unless they commit a crime. Now go before I decide to have you retired. His face went green.
No, Overmare, I understand. I'll go report to the boss.
Then he walked out without another word. I could understand his fear. Retirement in Stable 28 was a kinder way of saying death. Most ponies, when they got too old to perform their jobs, they were transferred to a private area in the family quarters and prepared for retirement. They would stay there for a few weeks before being taken to medical. If you couldn't work in the stable, then you were of no use. Are you okay, Shadow Star? The Overmare asked. I was a little confused. The Overmare hated me, or at least disliked me a great deal. She wasn't the type to do something like that over a little hit to the head from one of her officers. She must have had some reason for being so nice to me. So I took the bait. I think so. My head hurts a lot, though. Do you need to see Doc before we talk? Nah, I'm cool. I'm a unicorn. Using too much magic can make my head hurt worse than this. So I can manage. Good. Sorry about all this. I needed to speak with you before tomorrow's ceremony. I didn't know he would take my words so seriously that he thought he had to grab you like he did. Anyway, I have things to take care of tonight and only have a little time to talk, she said, walking back behind her large desk. Well, it's not like I can just run off or anything, so what's up, Overmare? I asked as nicely as I could muster, with my head throbbing like it was. She looked into my eyes, then sighed, looking away before saying, Do you remember the day your mother vanished? That hit me like a ton of bricks. Why? Just answer, please. Of course I do. I can't really ever forget it. Do you remember what she was doing, or how she was acting the last couple hours before she vanished? I did. She was doing something with her PipBuck, and she kept running back and forth between the terminals in our room and to her sleeping area to work on something with her PipBuck again. The last 10 minutes or so I ever saw her, I'll never forget. I could have sworn she was talking to some pony in her room, but no pony ever came to our quarters. The only thing I heard, though, never made any sense to me. I understand, but I do have other responsibilities. No, she doesn't. Yes, right away. After that, I couldn't make out the rest of what she was saying. She walked out a little later, gave me a kiss, and said goodnight. The next morning I was woken by Auntie. I could tell she'd been crying, and she told me that my mother had vanished. I looked back for the Overmare. Those details I always left out. I wouldn't change today, so I looked up and said, I remember her saying goodnight. Then she left to go do some late-night work. It was normal for her since she helped out during the night shift in the development department. I have reason to believe you know more about her disappearance. I was only a young filly at the time, and don't remember much about it, like I said. She only said goodnight, and I went to sleep. Plus, everybody tells me she was killed or something like that. Yes, I've always had my hopes that she was outside the stable or something somehow. Sadly, I have to grow up and realize that she's dead and gone. Why can't you or anybody else leave me alone about it? I said, tears starting to show in my eyes. The Overmare put a hoof to her head, closing her eyes as if the entire conversation was giving her a headache. Shadow Star, I can tell this is all upsetting for you. For now, we can drop the subject. But I want you to try and think back on that night and see if anything comes to you. This is important. Can you tell me why you want to know all this? It's been 8 years since she vanished. It doesn't make sense for all this time for anybody to care. I'm just trying to get information is all. I'd just like to find out what happened and put it all behind us. And that's all, Shadow Star. As she said this, however, her eyes didn't meet mine. I found it a little odd. I remember the day after she vanished. The Overmare was still new to her position, still taking over the role after her mother's untimely death. She was so angry that she threatened to throw me out of the stable if I didn't tell her where my mother went. Auntie was the only one who stepped in then and calmed the Overmare down. I decided not to bring all that up at once, as I said. Fine. Whatever. Can I go now? No, not yet. I didn't bring you in to talk only about your mother. Earlier, when you spoke with Auntie about your job, she told you that I held off on giving you a position. Yeah, I wasn't too happy about it either. I'll be the only pony with nothing to do. The only ponies who don't work are the children and retired ponies. It's not a comforting thought either way. She smiled at that. Well, you don't have to worry about that. I wouldn't send a young mare like yourself to retirement. The reason I held back on giving you a job wasn't really because of you. More about how you'll interact with the rest of the ponies in the stable, who you'll be working with. As you know, most of the stable doesn't like magic users. My job is to keep the stable safe, which goes for you and the rest of the ponies in my care. Now, when I got your results back, you fit into 5 areas of the stable: security, maintenance, development, coordinator, and full care. 2 of them I can't have you in because of problems you'll have with others in the stable. Which ones are where? I asked, taken aback by her still being so nice to me. Full care and maintenance. Don't worry why. I thought to maybe stick you in security, but personally I don't want you in security. That leaves us with coordination and development. Of course, she didn't want me in security. She knew her son Balefire had a major crush on me, even though I didn't want anything to do with him, at least romantically. Ever since we first became friends, the Overmare tried to keep us apart. I also knew why the other 2 wouldn't work. The supervisors for both of those were parents of ponies I'd gotten into fights with a few times. I looked back at her and said, So, you're gonna let me choose? I was thinking about it, but I have to check with both departments and make sure they can take you. Coordinator is normally a 1 or 2 pony job, and Auntie is the only one who does that now. I know she'll take you under her hoof, but I still need to check with her first. Personally, I'd like you to be in one of the development. It was where your mother was placed when she became a citizen of the stable, and I think having another unicorn would be a good idea. So you want me to help take over where my mother left off? I was a little shocked. I'm not even close to being as good as a magic user as her. I only know a few spells, and I'm not very good at them. I can hardly use telekinesis. My mother was a master at different kinds of magic, and she just started to teach me when she vanished. I don't think I'd be any good to take her place. Well, we won't know till we try. Who knows, you might surprise yourself, she said with a smile. However, this might take a few days to get everything worked out. I'll be sure to let you know when I have everything set up. What about tomorrow? What about it? Will I still get my PipBuck tomorrow with the others? Sadly, no. I can't let you have that until you've been placed in a job. Tomorrow you will be sitting with the rest of the fillies and colts. When I find out where you'll be placed, I'll give you 1, but until then I can't let you go through the ceremony, she said, her smile gone now. I felt a surge of anger, and I couldn't hold back anymore. You bitch! All this just to tell me that I have to be treated like a filly? Come on, you're the Overmare. You can let me have a PipBuck anytime you want. Why hold me back? Are you really that scared of me growing up? You act like I'm some kind of outsider, but I'm not. I grew up here just like every pony else. She sat there and took it. Then she started to speak, slowly at first. I am the Overmare. I have decided to hold back. Yes, I do look at you like an outsider at times. That is who I am. The stable has never opened before you showed up here with your mother. I want you to understand, though, that I'm trying to get over that. I'm holding back because that's the rules of the stable. The same thing happened to another pony when I was young. But she let it happen, and later that night, when the right job was given to her, she did a great job. I have to follow the rules laid down by the former Overmares of our stable. I can't ignore them for you or any pony else. Now check that anger, and accept what's happening. Go out and spend time with your friend, talk to Auntie, and wait to hear from me. Put a little trust in me for once. I wanted to yell at her again, but I took it. I was an adult and I needed to act like one. I was about to ask her if I could leave when I heard another pony say from the entrance to the Overmare's office, "Madame Overmare, you're needed for a moment?" "I'm in the middle of something. Can this wait?" she asked, looking over at me. "No, Madame Overmare, it can't wait. It's the matter we spoke about before. It'll only take a moment." The Overmare sighed. "Okay, fine." She looked at me. "Wait here a moment, Shadow Star. It'll only take a moment. I need to speak with you about a few other things before you go." "Yes, ma'am," I said. She followed the other pony out, leaving me alone in the office. I was still angry at her, but I was working to keep it in check. I also wondered why she wanted to know so much about my mother. It had been years since they closed the investigation, ruling it as an accidental death. Nothing made sense at all. I looked over at her desk and noticed the green glow from her terminal. The one thing I have a hard time controlling about myself, apart from my anger, is my curiosity. It's one reason I got my cutie mark, after all. Not knowing why it would matter, I got up and walked around the desk. Her terminal was left on. A good thing, too, because terminals weren't my strong suit. There were 3 fillies on the screen. Overmare private notes, security reports, investigation files. I wondered what she could have in those files, and the last one caught my interest, so I clicked on it. Investigation file for missing mare. Madame Overmare, as you requested, we've looked deeper into the file of the death or disappearance of Grimoire, aka Grim, Unicorn, Mare. The original report said she was killed either by suicide or murder, by being tossed in the incinerator. As you know, this was not true, but we have found that Grim was in that area the night she disappeared. We believe that she might have hidden something down there in the catacombs. So far, we haven't found anything. We'll continue to search after the ceremony. More reports that you asked for will be sent later. Thank you for waiting, and I hope to hear back from you soon. Sincerely, Glimmershot. The hell was this? I wondered to myself. The file alone had my mother's name in it. It also said something about the reports on her death not being true. What did all this mean? And what could she have hidden down in the catacombs? I wanted to read more of the files, but heard the Overmare's voice coming down the hall. I rushed to shut the file I was reading and trot back to the chair. I just made it back to where I was when she walked around the corner. She trot in, her face looking angry as if she'd just been arguing with some pony. After reading what I did, I wondered if she was talking to the pony who sent the message to her. She sat back down at her desk, then looked at me. "You can go for now, Shadow Star. I've something else I need to deal with, and I've kept you for too long as it is." "Didn't you want to talk to me about something else?" "Shadow Star, I said leave. We can talk later, but just not now," she said harshly, sounding more like the Overmare I was used to. "Yes, Overmare," I said, and I got out as quickly as I could. My mind was still racing as I walked down the hall and back towards the atrium. For the first time in 8 years, I'd seen something that showed my mother's might have been alive. I always had my suspicions, but now I knew. I would have to talk to Auntie about this later. "Hey, Shadow, where are you heading off to?" I looked up at who was speaking to me and saw my only other friend, Balefire. He's a tall earth pony, with a light gray coat and a golden mane and tail. He had green flames for his cutie mark. I smiled at him. "Oh, hello, Officer Balefire. It's good to see you." He blushed a little and said, "You know I hate it when you call me that. Just call me Balefire, please. Plus, I'm not on duty at the moment. Also, you didn't answer me. Where are you going?" I laughed, feeling some of the tension fading away at the sight of my friend acting like his normal shy self. "I just came from your mother's office. She was going over some of my job opportunities." He could hear the hint of anger in my voice. He moved closer and rubbed his hoof on his head, ruffling his mane. "Let me guess. She's not letting you join the tomorrow's ceremony, huh?" "That's right. She's making me sit with the colts and fillies like I'm a foal or something. It's not fair, Bale," I complained.
Hey now, don't let that get you down. Sooner or later, you'll be assigned a job. He ruffled my mane and laughed. My mother may be the Overmare, but she can't hold off too long. Have faith. Could you not do that, please? I don't feel like fixing my mane, I said, trying not to laugh myself. He had a way of getting me to cheer up. Fine, I'll stop. But on one condition, he said, giving me a wink. No, I won't go on a date with you. Don't ask me again, I said, giving him a look. He blushed harder. No, it wasn't that. I wanted you to come with me. I have a surprise for you. This isn't a surprise like last year on your birthday, is it? No? No way. I told you I wouldn't ever try that again. You also gave me a good memento, so I wouldn't forget, he said, laughing. Just come with me, okay? Trust me, you'll like the surprise. I don't think I can right now, Bale. Milkshake and I are going to do something tonight to celebrate us. I mean, her getting her job. She should be done soon. This won't take long, I promise. I rolled my eyes and huffed. A small laugh escaped. Fine. Okay, follow me, he said, turning and heading towards the elevator. I followed and watched as he hit the button to bring us down to level 10. I wasn't fond of going down here, but I felt safe with Balefire at my side. He may be a shy pony, but he was strong. He didn't speak at all as the elevator slowly made his way down to the lowest level of the stable. When the door squeaked open, he walked down to one end of the narrow hallways. Finally, he stopped next to one of the storage rooms. He reached up and pressed a button to open the door. The next thing I knew, I almost jumped out of my skin as another pony inside yelled, "Surprise!" After a few minutes of trying to breathe right, and waiting for my heart rate to go down, I was able to see Milkshake standing there laughing along with Balefire. Are you two trying to kill me? I asked slowly, standing back up. Milkshake helped me up. No, but it was worth it. You should have seen the look on your face, Shadow. Yeah, I won't forget that one for a while. What are you doing down here? I asked. Balefire pushed me into the room, shutting the door behind us. This is your surprise. Milkshake told me about what happened earlier, and we knew you'd be down in the dumps. So we thought, how about all of us just sit down here and have a kind of picnic? A picnic in a storage room, I said sarcastically. Best we can do in this rust bucket. There are too many ponies up in the dining hall, and our room isn't ready yet. So Balefire figured this would work. We can just stay down here for most of the night and just talk, eat, be happy. Her smile was huge, and I could tell she really wanted to do this. My mind was still on what I read before, but I couldn't let her down. Either of them, for that matter. I think this is a great surprise. Thank you, I smiled back. That's the spirit. Now, let's eat, Balefire said. And that's what we did. For the next few hours, we ate, drank, and told stories of when we were little. As always, whenever I was around Milkshake for a long period of time, I would find myself staring at her. Well, her flanks. I've had a crush on one of my best friends for a long time now. I would never tell her about it, though. In Stable 28, relationships between two mares or two stallions was forbidden. Also, I knew that she had a crush on Balefire. It was a weird, twisted kind of love triangle. Even though I knew it wasn't right, I couldn't help myself at times, especially when my emotions were all twisted up like they were today. So I did what I always did and smiled, talked, and laughed with my two friends. My life might be hard, but thank the goddesses that I had friends. We did this long into the night, and eventually, one by one, we fell asleep. Like I said before, dreams are strange. Sometimes they even feel real. Almost like you're reliving a memory, only this dream didn't seem to be my own. It was more like someone else was leading me. I saw myself walking down a long hall deep into the lower parts of level 10. The area, also called the Catacombs. It was a part of the stable that only had a few doors for holding back spark batteries for emergencies and
other things. I found myself walking towards one door, almost hidden in the darkness behind one of the large generators. It had been broken down for a long time, and no pony ever went near it, or this area for that matter. The door was drawing me closer. It was like something was there I had to get my hooves on. I had to go in, but as I started to move towards it, a loud snore tore me out of my dream and back into reality. I jumped up, ready to scream, and saw Balefire just rolling on his back, snoring. I tried to lay back down and sleep, but the dream of that door was still fresh in my mind. Damn it all, my stupid curiosity, I said, getting to my hooves. I know how stupid this is, but I have to know. So I snuck out of the room where my two friends were sleeping, and started to head down towards the catacombs. It wasn't a long way off. The lower level wasn't very large, but it still took me about 15 minutes to get where I was going to. When I reached the entrance to the catacombs, the opening between the main area of level 10 and the generators, I saw the sign, Authorized Ponies Only. It was strange because the couple things I've been down in Saria before, I'd never seen a sign like that before. I wanted to use this as a reason to turn back, but I couldn't help myself. I walked right past the sign and deeper into the bowels of Stable 28. I slowly walked past the first few generators, and past some of the fallen rocks that came down from the roof of the old cave the stable was built into. Now I was in the area from my dream. It creeped me out a little bit. But I've never been down this far, so how would I know what it looked like down here? Pushing that to the back of my mind, I kept on. Soon I found myself next to the generator I saw before. It looked old and worn down, and behind it, in the dark corner, I saw the door. Unlike my dream, where I could see the door in the dark shadow, the door was covered with roots, and it was very dirty. If I had not known where to look, I would never have seen it. I walked up to it and turned the knob with my magic, but it was locked. That was a little odd. I thought to myself, I thought nothing was ever locked down here. I said out loud. Good thing I hadn't met a locked door I couldn't get into. And this is kind of how I got my cutie mark. Using my magic, I pulled a bobby pin and screwdriver out of my stable barding and got to work. Bending back the bobby pin, I placed it in the lock and twisted it a little. Holding that and the screwdriver with my magic, I started to twist. The lock twisted a little, but stopped halfway and started to bend the bobby pin. I twisted the pin a bit more and worked with the lock for a few minutes. It was harder than I thought it would be, but finally I heard the beautiful sound of the tumblers clicking home. I turned the knob again and pushed hard. The roots held it in place for a moment, but after a few good hits, the door finally gave. When I walked in, I saw a mostly empty room, and it was a little small, but in the back I saw a box. Walking over, I slowly pulled it open, and what I found shocked me. In the small wooden box was a PipBuck, but it wasn't like the other ones I'd seen in the stable before. It was silver with red accent lines running along it. In the corners it said, PipBuck 3000, Mark II. I lifted it slowly out of the box, looking closer at it. It looked as if it had been sitting here for many years. Under all the dust, I could see a soft glow of something on the screen. It must have come up when I lifted it with my magic. I wiped away the dust on the screen and read the message on it. Morning Star. As those words came out of my lips, flashes of images started to come forth from somewhere in the back of my mind. A mare jumping in the way of some kind of magical blast, awakening and looking at some kind of mare kissing my forehead and saying, good morning, some pony calling out for my mother. Pain started to erupt throughout my body as the images flashed before my eyes. Then, when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, I heard some pony say, I can make it all go away. All you have to do is nod your head. I opened my muzzle and said quietly, Who's there? No pony, my dear. No pony at all. Just tell me that you want to make the pain stop, and I'll make sure it does. Do you want my help? The pain was too much. The visions too confusing. I nodded my head and started to scream. As I did, I heard an odd sound filling my ears.
Then as quickly as it started, I felt nothing at all. I opened my eyes and looked around the small room. No pony was there, and my body felt as if nothing happened at all. I guess I passed out? I said quietly. Then I remembered the PipBuck. I moved over and picked it up and looked at the screen again. I was expecting the same message I saw before, but it was blank. This was odd. Maybe I just passed out and started to have a nightmare of some kind? After a moment, I sat up and leaned against the wall, lifting the beautiful PipBuck in front of my face. I wondered why some pony would have hidden it down here. Apart from the outer shell, it looked like any other PipBuck. I wonder what it feels like to have one on. I have no idea how long it will be before I have my own from the Overmare, I said with a small smile. It can't hurt to try it on, can it? So I slipped it over my left foreleg and clasped it on. For a moment, nothing happened. I was a little disappointed, hoping that just putting it on would at least do something. Maybe it had been down here for too long and was out of power. As I thought that, the screen started to glow a soft green. Thank you for activating Stable Tech. PipBuck Mark II. Starting initial diagnostics. Diagnostic complete. All operations running normally. Starting physical diagnostic of post-pony. Diagnostic complete. Welcome to your new PipBuck, Shadow Star. Your vital signs are stable. All systems are ready to go. Please enjoy your new PipBuck 3000 Mark II. If you have any problems with your new PipBuck, please be sure to speak with the representative of StableTech for removal. I looked at the screen again and watched as the words went away and were replaced with a green picture of a pony. It was smiling and walking on the screen. I had never seen the other ponies in the stable use theirs, so, using my magic, I flipped the switch on one side and the screen changed. Now it was showing me an inventory screen. Damn, this thing knows everything, I said as it showed the contents of my own saddlebags. I remembered then what the last part of the message had said, something about needing a StableTech representative to get removed. It couldn't be that hard to take off. It only had a latch holding it on. I turned it over to look and froze. The latch had vanished, leaving only a small line where it had been. Ah, shit. I was about to see if I could find out what happened when I heard voices coming from down the hall. We already checked this area. I think the Overmare misread the transmission. If those griffins really think there's something worth finding down here, why would we care? Not like they can get in. A familiar stallion's voice said from down the hall. I don't know why the Overmare cares about the transmission from the outside, but if she says there's something down here, then we have to try and find it, came a mare's voice in response. Why would any pony leave something down here anyway? It's creepy as hell here. Let's just do another sweep, and if we don't find anything, we can tell the Overmare. Maybe she'll tell those griffins it's not here and they'll leave us alone. Shit, I thought to myself. Peeking out of the door, I could see 2 security ponies. I went back into the room so I could close the door when my horn caught on one of the roots. I pulled back and my horn pulled the roots down, making dirt fall from the ceiling. What was that? One of them said. Double shit, I said, pulling again. They both came running and stopped when they saw me stuck in the doorway. The roots tangled in my mane and my horn. The one with the red coat and green mane walked forward. Her name was Glimmershot. Shadow Star, is that you? What in the goddess's name are you doing down here? This area is restricted. I smiled weakly. Would you believe me if I said I was sleep-trotting? Nice try, Shadow. You'll have to come with us. The Overmare made this area off-limits. She won't be happy when she finds out you were snooping around, Glimmershot said. She was always a kind mare, even to me. Glimmer, look at her foreleg. Where'd she get that? Said the stallion who was with her. I saw that it was Tenderwhip, the same pony who'd hit me earlier today. I thought he was supposed to be off duty. I know you didn't have a PipBuck earlier. Where'd you steal that from? I thought you were taken off duty, I asked, gave him a snide attitude. He smacked me with his baton. Not hard, but it still hurt. I asked you a question.
Tender Whip, there's no need to hit her, Glimmer said, stepping in his way. He pushed her aside. Don't talk back to me, Glimmer. I outrank you, and this unicorn is nothing but trouble. Did you see the PipBuck? It matched the description we got from the Overmare. We've been looking all over for that damned thing. How did she get her hooves on it? We can figure that out later. You don't have any right to strike her. One more word, Glimmer, and I'll cite you for insubordination, he said. She looked away and backed off. I couldn't do anything as he walked closer to me, an evil grin on his face. I've been waiting a long time to catch you doing something stupid like this. Now, how did you get your hooves on that PipBuck? I'll talk to the Overmare, not you. I glared back at him. Fine. If you don't want to talk, then I guess I'll just have to beat it out of you. Glimmer gasped in horror as he took his baton and cracked it over my face. I screamed, feeling as if my skull were split like a melon. Blood leaked down my face, some going into my eye. I looked up and over to Glimmer. She had tears in her eyes. I knew she wanted to stop this, but was too scared. Another blow landed, hitting my horn. Stars erupted and my vision grew a little dark. My horn felt as if it was about to explode. I could feel a buildup of magic as rage filled me. All I wanted was for this to stop, so I could go back to bed and forget this night ever happened. Another blow landed, hitting me in the side and dislodging me from the roots. I flew back, hitting the side of the door. I looked up at Tender Whip, saw the pleasure in his eyes. He loved being able to hurt some pony, loved having power over another. I felt my magic building up again, and I knew I had to do something to stop him. One spell I knew would be able to knock him back, maybe enough that Glimmer could help me. I drew on the magic and started to unleash the spell. The magic, however, was strong. My emotions were too high. I looked up at him, saying quietly, "Stay back." "Shut the fuck up, unless you're going to tell me what I want to hear." "Please, before I could finish, the spell cast. A powerful blast of red light flew outward from my body. So much magic came out with the spell that it didn't only throw Wind Whip back, it also hit Glimmer. Tender flew up and smacked his head on a low part of the ceiling. Glimmer slid across the ground, and I screamed and screamed until I finally passed out. "Wake up!" A voice came through the fog and pain filling my mind. "Wake up, Shadow Star. Right now!" I opened my eyes. It felt like some pony was jabbing them with glass. I closed them again and moaned. I waited for a moment, then tried to open them again, but only a little. I saw the Overmare looking down at me through a set of bars. What happened?" "I'd like to know that too. Do you know what you did last night?" Her voice was stern. She sounded royally pissed. I opened my eyes more, trying to ignore the pain in my head. My right eye was almost swollen shut. My jaw and side felt like shit. When my good eye finally focused on her, I said, "Yeah. Is Glimmer okay?" "She has a few scrapes and bruises from your spell. Tender Whip is lucky to be alive. He'll be in the clinic for a couple months at least." "I'm glad Glimmer is okay." "You should be glad they're not both dead. What in the goddess's name made you think you could use a spell like that down there? You almost killed both of them and yourself." "I didn't mean to. I was scared when Tender Whip started hitting me. He had no right. I wasn't doing anything wrong," I said, standing on my hooves and looking around some. I was in the security area on level 4. This was the small room where they kept ponies who broke some kind of law. I was a little confused as to why I was in here. I didn't do anything wrong. "From what I understand, you were in possession of stolen property. You refused to go with the 2 security ponies, and he had to fight back," she said. "Now tell me how you got that PipBuck." I looked down and saw it was still in my foreleg. "I found it. Honest. Down in the catacombs." "Really? Are you sure about that?" she asked. "Yeah. Even if you did, it's still property of Stable 28. I've also been looking for that particular PipBuck for a couple of weeks now," she said, looking over at the door. "I just found it while I was down there." I'm sorry, Shadowstar, but I can't take your word on that. That PipBuck was something that a few friends of mine have been looking for. I'm going to need to get it back from you. I don't care if you found it or stole it. You have it, and I need it. But I can't get it off now. I don't know how. Likely story. However, since you won't take it off willingly, I guess we'll have to call the technician to get it off, she said in a threatening tone. What, are you deaf or stupid? I told you I can't get it off. I don't know how. How dare you speak to me that way? I'm the stable's Overmare, and I should be treated with respect. Well, if you would get your head out of your flank and listen to once, maybe I wouldn't be so bitchy. Plus, your security officer, Tenderwhip, gave me this awesome headache when he struck me over the face for no apparent reason. So I'm sorry if I'm not in the most respecting mood right now. Well, aren't you rambunctious today? I still don't appreciate your tone. However, there's something we need to discuss about your alleged findings, she said, annoyed. Alleged? I did find it. 1, 2, 3, open ass, insert head. I shall return later when you've learned your place, and the technician's gotten that PipBuck off your foreleg, she said angrily. Later came the technician, Tinker, and they were finding it, trying to remove my PipBuck. Difficult. I think he was having some trouble because I kept hearing muffled fucks and dams. Finally, I asked him, what's the problem? You've really done it this time. I don't think I have the tools to take this off for some reason. I should be able to unlock it with my master key, but I can't even find a key slot. Do you happen to know what model this is by chance? He said. When I put it on, it said it was a PipBuck Mark II. All right. Let me take a look at my registration list and see if I can figure this thing out, he said, a little puzzled, bringing up his own PipBuck, and looked over something. As he was checking the registration, I thought to myself that I didn't really want it off. But if it got me out of trouble, I would have to have it removed. Hey, Shadow. You said that was a PipBuck 3000 Mark II, right? He asked. Yeah? Why? Well, there doesn't seem to be any PipBuck Mark IIs in the registry, so I don't think there's anything that I can do. It's stuck in your foreleg like mold on a sandwich, he said, a bit confused. Gross. There goes breakfast for me. Laughing, he said, sorry about the analogy. It just slipped past the filter. It's all right. Guess the Overmare's gonna be pissed, though. Yeah, I know, but she needs to realize she isn't a princess and can't get everything she wants. Anyway, I need to get going. I'll have a chat with the Overmare and see if I can't make things easier for you, he said in a melancholy tone. Thanks for being so nice, Tender. I don't usually get treated that way by everybody else. It's just the way I am. Can't have angry clients, otherwise I could get a cutie mark on my face, if you catch my drift. All right then, good luck with the Overmare. I'm going to be late for another appointment, but I'll make sure to speak with the Overmare, he said as he started walking towards the door. A few minutes passed, and the Overmare came into the room, looking a little steamed, followed closely behind as Balefire and his security barding. I heard Tinker failed in his task of removing the PipBuck from your leg, so it looks like we're going to have to amputate it. I interrupted. What the fuck? Amputate? Have you really lost it? Fucking crazy hag. Ignoring my outburst, she quickly added, Balefire, transport the prisoner to the clinic. I can't bring her in to be mutilated, Balefire said, alarmed at what he just heard. My son or not, I'll have you punished for insubordination if you don't obey the orders of your Overmare, she barked. But, he started, but the Overmare interrupted. No buts. Put her in cuffs and get her to the clinic. Sorry, Shadowshar, but we have to go, Balefire said sadly as he walked over to me. What are you doing? Are you really going to listen to her? He whispered to me under his breath. Calm down. I'll get you out of this. Just play along. He opened the door and placed hoof cuffs on my forelegs. Then he led me out of the prison and towards the clinic. We arrived at the clinic, and I was taken from Balefire's custody and strapped on an operating table in one of the few operating rooms in the clinic. Balefire was standing guard outside the door. Doc was getting a few things ready on the table next to me when I heard voices outside just before a door opened, and Auntie walked in. "Doc, could I have a minute before she's put under?" Auntie said in a creepily pleasant voice. "Of course. I'll just need to grab a few extra tools anyway," Doc said, walking out as if he wasn't about to saw some pony's foreleg off, but as if he was going to a jolly fucking tea party. After the door shut, Auntie said, "We don't have much time, so listen closely. You need to figure a way to get out of here." "How? I'm strapped to a steel death slab, and I'm sure every pony would notice me walking out of here." "I don't know. I wish there was some way I could help you, but it's too risky. The Overmare's been watching me for some time now because of my relationship with your mother, and has started to lose trust in me," Auntie whispered, as if the room was bugged or something. "Losing trust? Why?" "Because your mother rubbed her the wrong way, and I think she thought we were plotting something, and she thinks that I'm starting again with you," she whispered. "Listen, when you get out of here, go northeast from the stable. You'll find a town called Cartwheel. There, you'll find a pony named Box Tape. Tell him that I sent you and what happened. He will help you." "Wait, what do you mean?" "Listen, sweetheart. 8 years ago, your mother didn't die. She left the stable. I wish I could tell you all the reasons why she had to leave, but I don't have enough time to tell you everything. Just know this. Grim loved you very much, and leaving you behind was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. When you find Box Tape, he should be able to help you find her. Your mother can explain more to you when you find her," Auntie whispered, her eyes darting around the room. Even though I read the report from the Overmare about my mother leaving the stable, hearing it from Auntie hit me like a ton of bricks. She knew the whole time and never told me the truth. I looked angrily into her eyes as I spoke. "You mean this whole time you knew, and you never told me the truth? How dare you?" "I wanted to, but I promised your mother that I wouldn't say anything unless I had to. I wanted to tell you so many times. When I saw you having nightmares and calling out for her in the middle of the night, when ponies teased you, and more. I'm sorry things happened this way. I just hope that one day you can forgive me," she said, kissing my cheeks as she connected the wire from her PipBuck to mine. She did something quickly. My PipBuck beeped, then she disconnected me. "Please be safe when you find her. Tell her I did my best," she whispered again. Before I could say anything else, the door opened and Doc returned. "Sorry, but I'll have to ask you to leave. I must start the procedure," Doc said. "I understand," Auntie said as she started to walk towards the door. The door closed and I could hear the conversation outside continue, as Dr. Take Your Hoof started to put his tools in order and get ready for the operation. "Oh, it's been a long time since I've gotten to do real surgery. Who knows how long it'll be before my next? You know what? I think I'm going to treat myself and forget about putting you out. Oh, it'll be ever so much fun," he said, sounding more insane than usual. Funny, I remember him having a lot better bedside manner than this. "You're fucking nuts." "Oh, you're just a bit fussy. No matter. Shall we get started?" he said menacingly. He turned on his power bone saw and ignored my protest as he got closer. "Stop fidgeting. You're only going to make the pain worse on yourself. And I don't want to have to explain to the Overmare how I shredded your foreleg," he said irritatedly. "Doc, we need you in Tenderwhip's room. He's crashing." Doc dropped the saw next to the cart onto the table. "Damn it. Always when I'm having fun. You stay here. I'll be right back." And he rushed out. About 30 seconds passed and the door opened. I thought my chance to try and escape vanished as soon as it appeared. But then I realized it wasn't Doc coming in the room. "Shadow, I grabbed some supplies for you. I'm getting you out of here," Balefire said urgently. He unstrapped me from the table and had me armored stable barding and my saddlebags. "What are you doing? If the Overmare finds out you broke me out?" "It's all right. I've already cooked up a cover story."
Do you know about the Overmare's emergency escape tunnel? He asked. Yeah, every pony knows that in case the stable needs to be evacuated, I replied as I slipped on the barding and saddlebags. Get to the tunnel and take it to the stable door. If you stay here and they find out you escaped, the Overmare will kill you. All of this will give her a reason to, said Balefire in a worried tone. What if her terminal's locked? Try guessing the password or something. Or we're wasting time. You have to go. Now! Balefire urged. Balefire stayed in the room as I ran out and towards the Overmare's office. I was able to make it to the entrance of the Overmare's office without running into security ponies. Somehow I think Balefire had something to do with that. I froze outside the door when I heard the voice of the Overmare getting closer to the door. I hid under a desk next to the door while she walked out of her office. I want her found by any means necessary, she barked into her radio as she stormed off, not noticing the frightened little pony under the desk. I practically scrambled into the office and over to the terminal. It was locked. A shroud of doom fell over me as I feared of being discovered, creeping into my spine. I tried hacking the terminal and came up empty-hoofed. I tried 4 of the possible passwords and got locked out. Now there was no way to unlock the terminal without a password, and time was running out. I scrambled through all the desk drawers, hoping to find the password. Once again, empty-hoofed, I fell to my haunches and started to sob. I hit the inner side of the desk in anger. When my hoof struck the desk, it didn't feel like cheap wood paneling it should have. It felt like paper. I looked up and noticed a tiny envelope under the desk. The top of the envelope was ripped off, as if to make a pocket. I saw, on the top of the paper that was slipped inside, password, in case I forget. I grabbed the paper, almost tearing it up, and scrambling to my hooves. I entered the password into the terminal. Family. The terminal unlocked as fast as my hooves could type it in, as I activated the Overmare's emergency tunnel. The desk and the floor shifted and opened into the passageway. I ran as fast as my hooves could take me, ignoring the alarm sounding through the tunnel. When I got to the end, I opened the door to 2 security ponies. Halt! You're under arrest! They barked in unison. For a split second, I panicked. Then I remembered I was a unicorn. With my magic, I pulled their batons from their utility barding without them noticing, and quickly struck them both over the head on opposite sides. As they were struck, their heads collided comically and then fell to the ground. I rushed to the stable door control, pad, and terminal, then entered another password from the written paper into the terminal. Balefire. The switch cover flipped open, and I immediately pulled it, and the stable door started to hiss and screech. I've done it. The door was open. I was almost too excited to remember to run out. I broke the lever off the control pad to make sure they couldn't follow me, and ran towards the door. When I got to the threshold, fear surged through me once again. What if the outside was still deadly? What if I died as soon as I walked out? I couldn't think about those things now. If I stayed, I would most likely die. I needed to get out. Putting fear aside, I ran across the threshold and hit the switch on the other side to close the stable door. The door was closed, and I was out. Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Toughness. If nothing else, you can take a beating. Instantly gain +2 damage resistance.